The story follows Donald Trump as he unexpectedly halts his motorcade to assist a struggling girl, Lily, whose plea for help exposes the stark neglect faced by families of veterans and underserved communities. Set against the backdrop of systemic inequality, the narrative highlights the controversial disparities in social support and the visible divide between power and poverty. Through Lily's story, Trump's intervention sparks a movement that ignites debate over privilege, responsibility, and the long overlooked sacrifices of marginalized individuals, forcing a national reckoning with issues of racial and economic inequality embedded in America's social fabric. Here is the story, The Call of the Eagle. A turning point in America. On a brisk morning under a canopy of heavy gray clouds, a transformative moment awaited the thousands gathered at the Lincoln Memorial. The air buzzed with quiet anticipation as American flags rippled gently in the breeze, their movements reflecting the hope and unease that had drawn people from across the nation. They came not just for answers, but for something profound, a symbol, a sign, a spark of change. Donald Trump, the central figure of the event, approached the podium with a steady gait, his gaze resolute as he prepared to address the nation. The occasion was momentous, marking the unveiling of his sweeping agenda to rebuild a fractured country. The crowd erupted into applause as he began, his voice ringing out steady and authoritative. Today, we're not here to simply imagine a better tomorrow. We're here to create it, to build an America where no one, absolutely no one, is left behind. Among the audience, a young mother held her 10-year-old son close. They had traveled from a small, struggling town in the Midwest, clinging to the hope that this moment could change their lives. The boy's wide eyes darted toward the podium and the sky above, where thick clouds loomed ominously. Nearby, an elderly man leaned on his cane, his weathered face tilted skyward. His soft murmur carried in the wind, reaching those standing closest. If the eagle appears, it will be the mark of something monumental. The atmosphere grew tense as Trump continued to paint a vision of a united nation, one where education was accessible to all, opportunities transcended social divisions, and hope was no longer a luxury. His words, though powerful, were interrupted by an unexpected sound, a piercing cry from above. The arrival of the eagle heads turned skyward. The dense clouds began to part, revealing a single shaft of light that pierced through, illuminating a dark silhouette in the distance. As the shape drew closer, gasps rippled through the crowd. A magnificent bald eagle, its wings spread wide, soared above them, commanding awe and reverence. It circled gracefully, descending lower until its powerful wings nearly brushed the American flag draped beside the stage. The crowd fell silent, transfixed. The eagle did not stop there. It glided toward the towering Lincoln Memorial, landing on the shoulder of the statue itself. Its piercing eyes scanned the gathered masses, sharp and knowing, as if assessing the worth of each soul below. A beam of light illuminated the eagle and the statue, casting the scene in an ethereal glow. Trump paused mid-sentence, his eyes locked on the bird. A small smile played on his lips as he turned back to the crowd, his voice resonating with solemn conviction. Ladies and gentlemen, this is no coincidence. Here, at the very heart of America's ideals of freedom and equality, our nation's emblem has appeared. It is not just a sign. It is a call to rise to the monumental mission ahead of us. The crowd stood spellbound, many with tears streaming down their faces, feeling as though they were part of a moment far larger than themselves. The old man's words echoed in their minds. If the eagle appears, something monumental will happen. A feather falls. The eagle spread its mighty wings, releasing a single large feather that drifted gracefully to the stage. Trump stepped forward, bending to pick it up. He held it aloft, the sunlight catching its edges, and for a moment the feather seemed almost alive, imbued with the gravity of the moment. This feather, Trump declared, his voice heavy with emotion, is more than a symbol. It is a reminder that every American deserves the chance to soar. No matter who you are or where you come from, your dreams matter. A middle-aged man in the crowd raised his hand, his voice breaking as he called out, "I'm a veteran. I believe this feather is a promise, that none of us who sacrificed for this country will ever be forgotten." Trump nodded solemnly, his gaze steady. "Today I bring more than promises," he said. "I bring action. No longer will invisible barriers divide us by race, class, or background. Together, we will break those barriers and give every one of us the wings to soar." The crowd erupted, not with mere applause, but with a collective sense of unity. In that moment, they felt the divisions among them dissolve, replaced by an unshakable belief that they were on the brink of something transformative. A journey begins. The eagle remained perched atop Lincoln's shoulder, its regal presence reinforcing the feeling that this was not the end, but the beginning. Its sharp gaze fell on Trump, then the crowd, as though passing its judgment and offering its blessing. Trump stepped forward once more, his voice imbued with both determination and sincerity. "The eagle does not fly alone," he said. "It carries the hopes, dreams, and responsibilities of an entire nation. And just like that, our journey is not just about today, it's about the generations to come." In the crowd, the young mother wiped a tear from her cheek as her son whispered, "Mom, I want wings like the eagle." She smiled, her eyes brimming with hope. "You will," she replied, her voice trembling with belief. As Trump began to outline his vision, he shifted from lofty ideals to practical initiatives, investments in education, support for small businesses, and pathways to opportunity for all. He spoke not just of policies but of people, the single mother dreaming of opening her own bakery, the immigrant workers seeking dignity and opportunity, and the children yearning for a better future. "The eagle," he said, pointing to the statue, "does not choose where to fly. It soars wherever hope is needed, and today, I promise you, we will bring these wings to every corner of America." The eagle, as if understanding his words, spread its wings wide. The crowd held their breath, wondering if it would take flight, but the eagle remained steadfast, a living sentinel and a reminder of the journey ahead. A young voice rose from the crowd. "If the eagle won't fly, then we will." Trump turned toward the source, his eyes gleaming with pride. "That's right," he replied. "This is our journey. The eagle shows us the way, but it is up to us to lift this nation to new heights." The crowd erupted into cheers, the energy surging like a wave. They were no longer spectators. They were participants in a movement that promised to redefine their future. As the applause subsided, Trump stepped forward one final time. His voice, calm yet resolute, carried across the memorial grounds. "Our journey is not a distant dream. It's about tangible actions. Doors of opportunity opened, dreams realized, and lives transformed today. We begin rewriting America's story, not as the dream of a few, but as the promise of us all." The eagle remained, its watchful eyes reflecting the gravity of the moment. It had come not just as a symbol, but as a call, a reminder that the journey of freedom is not just about hope, it is the responsibility of everyone. Building bridges, a path to renewal. Donald Trump stood before the growing crowd gathered outside Lily's modest, crumbling home. His earlier words had begun to resonate deeply, but now the conversation shifted to action. Holding the eagle feather aloft, its light sheen catching the golden rays of a breaking dawn, Trump's voice rose with conviction. "We cannot build a stronger America without strengthening its heart, our communities," he began, his tone steady yet impassioned. "Every small business, every family, every dream is a thread in the fabric of this nation today. I promise you, we will weave those threads together into something unbreakable." Empowering small dreams. Trump turned to address the single mother whose determination had already captured the crowd's admiration earlier. Her son, wide-eyed and hopeful, watched from her side. "These dreams, your bakery, your hard work, are not small," Trump said, pointing toward her. "They are the foundation of a vibrant and interconnected economy." He outlined plans for a nationwide small business support program. "From grants to training, to cutting through the red tape, we will ensure that everyone with a dream has the chance to turn it into reality." The crowd murmured in agreement, inspired by the tangible promises. The single mother wiped a tear, her son clinging to her hand. For her, this wasn't just a speech, it was the possibility of a future. A greener horizon. With a shift in tone, Trump held up the eagle feather once more, looking skyward. "This feather," he said, "reminds us that nature is not our adversary, it's our partner. We owe it to our children and their children to protect this planet." He spoke of renewable energy projects and their potential not just to safeguard the environment, but to create millions of jobs. From mechanics to engineers, he promised opportunities for all to contribute to a cleaner, greener future. "Our journey to prosperity must align with the journey to sustainability," he emphasized. The crowd, many of whom had experienced firsthand the struggles of an economy tied to dwindling resources, erupted in cheers. For them, the promise of a green America meant hope for stability and progress. Breaking barriers. An America for everyone returning his focus to unity, Trump declared, "No one in this country should be left behind, no matter their race, gender, or background. A strong America is one where we stand together, embracing diversity as our strength." He announced initiatives to dismantle systemic barriers, ensuring fair treatment in workplaces and equal access to opportunities. "This is not just about equality," Trump said. "It's about giving every American the wings to soar." A veteran in the crowd, standing tall despite the cane that supported him, raised his hand and shouted, "This isn't just a promise. This is the path we'll walk together." The crowd roared in agreement, their energy palpable. The eagle perched on the Lincoln Memorial spread its massive wings, as if in solidarity with the sentiment below. The crowd gasped in awe, their collective hope surging as they felt the symbolic weight of the moment. Taking flight, a nation united. As applause filled the air, the eagle took flight. Its powerful wings cut through the clear morning sky, soaring higher with each pass. The crowd's eyes followed its ascent, their spirits lifted alongside it. The bird circled above them, a living emblem of freedom and possibility, before disappearing into the vast expanse above. Trump turned back to the crowd, raising the feather high once more. The eagle's flight is not just a symbol, it's a call to each of us together, with faith, unity, and action. We can rise to meet any challenge. The young mother, standing at the forefront, raised her hand and shouted, "We will act, for our children and ourselves." Her voice broke through the noise, igniting a chant that swept through the crowd. USA, USA. Their voices echoed not just in the streets, but across the screens of those watching nationwide. A call to action. With the chant subsiding, Trump stepped forward, his voice softening yet retaining its strength. I call on each of you, those here and those watching, to take action. It doesn't have to be grand. Start small, support your neighbor's business, mentor a young person, or simply offer a helping hand. Every step counts. The crowd nodded, their determination evident. This was no longer just a gathering. It had become a movement. Let this flag fly high, Trump continued, gesturing to the American flag billowing in the breeze. Not just as a symbol, but as a promise. We will not stop, we will not give up, and we will not leave anyone behind. As he spoke, the eagle made one final pass above the crowd, its wings slicing through the morning light before disappearing into the horizon. The gray clouds that had hung heavy over the event had fully given way to a radiant, unbroken blue sky, a symbol of the new dawn the gathering had witnessed. A moment shared across the nation. Images of the eagle soaring and the crowd united in hope began spreading rapidly across social media. Hashtags like Ni Soar Together, Ni Eagle of Hope, and America Rising trended nationwide. The moment became more than a single event. It transformed into a rallying cry for a country yearning for unity and purpose. From homes to offices, from schools to small businesses, people shared stories of how the event inspired them. One video captured a child saying, "I want wings like the eagle," while his parents nodded with tearful smiles, echoing the sentiment of countless families. Trump, standing on the stage, looked directly into the camera broadcasting the event, his voice carried across screens and hearts alike. Today is not just a historic moment, it's a beginning. Let us commit to building an America where every dream can take flight. Start with your community. Help someone in need together. We will soar, just like the eagle did today. The crowd erupted into cheers as Trump stepped back, the Lincoln Memorial and its steadfast eagle standing tall behind him. For those present, and for millions watching, this was not just a day to remember. It was a day that marked the start of something far greater, a call to action. Lily's trembling voice broke the silence of the small, dimly lit room. "I don't want her to die," she whispered, her words cutting through the air like a plea that could not be ignored. Donald Trump knelt beside her, resting a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Her wide, worried eyes pierced his resolve, and for a moment, he simply looked at her, absorbing the depth of her desperation. Then, rising to his feet, his voice turned sharp with urgency as he addressed his entourage. "I need a full report on this family's situation immediately," he commanded. "Her mother's health must be evaluated tonight. No delays." One of his advisors stepped closer, his tone low and cautious. "Sir, this area is unsafe. We shouldn't stay here too long. It would be better to coordinate with specialized organizations." Trump turned, cutting him off mid-sentence, his expression unwavering. "She doesn't need promises or protocols. She needs action. I'm not leaving until I know both of them will get the help they need." He knelt again, this time meeting Lily's gaze directly. "Lily, you've been incredibly brave. You've been fighting for your mom, and now it's my turn to fight for both of you." Her mother, frail and tearful on the rickety bed, broke down completely. Tears streamed down her hollow cheeks as she struggled to form words. "Mr. Trump, thank you. I don't even know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," Trump replied, his tone steady yet compassionate. "Your husband gave his life for this country. This is the least we can do for you." He straightened, his gaze shifting back to his team. "This is not just about one family. It's about the thousands like them who have been forgotten that changes today." Rallying the community. As Trump stepped outside, the alley had transformed. A small group of neighbors had gathered, their initial curiosity giving way to cautious hope. Children clung to each other, their wide eyes filled with a mix of wonder and disbelief as they watched the scene unfold. The once quiet and skeptical slum seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would come next. Trump turned back to glance at Lily and her mother, who stood in the doorway, their faces a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. Addressing the growing crowd, he spoke with a voice that carried both authority and compassion. "This isn't just the story of one family," he began, gesturing toward Lily. "This is the story of countless families across our country who have been left behind, but that ends now." The crowd remained silent for a moment, processing his words. Then, slowly, a smattering of applause began, hesitant at first but growing stronger with each passing second. Faces that had been etched with exhaustion now reflected glimmers of hope. Discovering forgotten stories. Turning to Lily, Trump placed a hand on her shoulder once more. "Take me to your neighbors," he said gently. "I need to understand more about what's happening here." She hesitated briefly before nodding. "I'll show you," she whispered. Together they walked through the narrow alley, Trump flanked by security guards scanning every shadowed corner. Eyes peered from cracked windows and doorways, the gazes of those who had long learned to expect nothing from those in power. Their disbelief at seeing a man like Trump in their community was evident, but so was a growing curiosity. At one doorstep, a middle-aged man with a weathered face stepped forward, his voice hoarse but resolute. "Mr. Trump, I can't believe you're actually here," he said. "But if you are, you need to know, we're not just poor. We've been forgotten. No one cares about us anymore." Trump stopped, listening intently as the man continued, his voice heavy with frustration. "Most of us here are families of people who served this country. My son had to drop out of school because we couldn't afford it. We survive on scraps, but it's never enough." Trump's gaze swept over the crumbling homes, the dirt-streaked faces of children playing in the streets, and the weary eyes of adults watching from the shadows. He turned to one of his advisors, his voice cutting through the silence like steel. "I want a full report on every family here, their needs, their struggles, and I want it on my desk by tomorrow morning." "Sir," the advisor began hesitantly, "we could coordinate this with local agencies." "They've waited long enough," Trump interrupted, his tone firm. "If Lily can stand on a street corner asking for help, then we have no excuse not to act immediately." A growing movement. By the time they returned to Lily's house, the crowd outside had grown larger. Trump stepped onto the creaking wooden steps, his gaze sweeping across the faces now watching him with a mix of hope and anticipation. "No family," he began, his voice echoing through the quiet alley, "especially a family who has sacrificed so much for this country, should have to live like this. You've been forgotten, but that ends today." Applause broke out, more certain and powerful this time. Some began to cry, overwhelmed by the weight of his words and the hope they ignited. Lily stood beside her mother, holding her hand tightly, her wide eyes now sparkling with faith in a brighter future. Trump turned back to Lily, kneeling slightly as he took her small hand in his. "Thank you for having the courage to speak up," he said softly but with conviction. "You didn't just help your mom, you've helped this entire community. I promise you I won't let you down." A new beginning. As Trump climbed back into the Cadillac, he paused before closing the door, turning to his lead security officer. "From this moment on," he said with quiet determination, "this is my top priority. I want every resource mobilized immediately. And remember, I'll personally oversee every step of this initiative." The motorcade rolled away slowly, leaving the slum behind, but the crowd remained, their eyes following the figure of a man who had ignited a flame of hope in a place long forgotten. For them, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something far greater. For Trump, it was not just a mission, it was a responsibility, a commitment to ensure that no one in America would ever feel abandoned again. A new dawn of hope. As Trump's motorcade pulled away from the slum, the spark ignited by Lily's story began to spread like wildfire. Within days, a video of Trump halting his car to speak to the young girl, holding her hand as they entered the dilapidated neighborhood, flooded social media. The raw power of the moment resonated deeply with people from all walks of life on platforms like Twitter. Hashtags such as, Hope for Heroes and, No One Left Behind trended nationwide. Stories began pouring in, accounts of sacrifice, of overlooked struggles, and of resilience in the face of adversity. One viral post read, "Lily isn't just a little girl with a cardboard sign. She's a symbol for every family America has forgotten. We can't ignore this anymore." Transforming compassion into action, Lily's story became the cornerstone of a national campaign, Hope for Heroes, spearheaded by Trump. What started as a single act of compassion evolved into a movement of unity and action. Corporate contributions. Major corporations like Google, Walmart, and Tesla pledged millions to support veteran families and struggling communities. Partnerships flourished, creating funding streams for housing, education, and mental health services. Grassroots initiatives. Across the country, ordinary citizens stepped forward to make a difference. High school students in Oregon organized supply drives for military children. A retired carpenter in Ohio began repairing the homes of struggling families for free, saying, "If Lily can inspire a nation, I can fix a roof." Personal sacrifices. A teacher in Texas donated her annual bonus to help a local veteran family. On a talk show, she said, "Lily showed me that no effort is too small, we all have a part to play." The initiative became a beacon of hope, uplifting thousands who had long felt unseen. The nation takes notice. Lily and her mother, now at the center of national attention, were invited to share their story on several prominent talk shows. In one heartfelt interview, Lily's mother reflected, "For so long, we believed we were invisible. But now, we see that there's light, and it's not just for us, it's for every family like ours." The campaign's momentum culminated in a historic event at the White House, where Trump hosted a ceremony honoring veterans' families and the individuals who had rallied behind Hope for Heroes. The event wasn't just a celebration, it was a reaffirmation of the nation's commitment to ensuring that no one would be left behind. Standing before hundreds of attendees, Trump addressed the crowd with sincerity and strength. Lily's courage reminded us of something profound, that hope is not just a feeling, it's an action. Today, we honor those who have sacrificed for this country, but we also renew our promise. No family who has given so much will ever have to suffer in silence again. A lasting legacy. The movement reached its zenith with the dedication of a new memorial at the National Mall, honoring the sacrifices of veterans and their families. The memorial featured a bronze statue of a soldier kneeling to hold the hand of a young girl, symbolizing the enduring bond of service and family. The inscription read, "They gave everything. It is our duty to ensure they are never forgotten." Trump stood on stage for the unveiling, joined by Lily and her mother. The crowd erupted into applause as the powerful image of the statue came into view, many wiping away tears as they recognized the significance of the moment. Today, Trump began, his voice filled with emotion. "We do more than unveil a memorial, we engrave into the heart of this nation a reminder. Sacrifice demands respect, and hope demands action." Turning to Lily, who stood beside him in a simple white dress, he continued, "This young girl taught us that even the smallest voice can spark monumental change. Courage knows no age, and hope can illuminate even the darkest places. This is not the end of our journey, it's just the beginning." The crowd rose to their feet, applause swelling into a standing ovation. Then, with an encouraging gesture from Trump, Lily stepped forward. Lily's voice. Her voice was soft but steady as she spoke into the microphone. "I never thought a small sign could change anything, I just wanted to save my mom. But now I see that when we're brave enough to stand up, we can change the world. Thank you, Mr. Trump, and thank you to everyone who has helped my family and so many others." The square erupted into cheers, the sound echoing across the National Mall. For many, Lily's words were a reminder of the power of unity and the importance of standing together. A movement that lives on the memorial became more than a physical structure. It became a rallying point for change. States began adopting programs modeled after Hope for Heroes, extending assistance to underserved communities and creating opportunities for those who had been left behind. Trump remained deeply involved, attending events and meeting with families to ensure that the campaign's momentum continued. A journalist summarized the story's impact. "This isn't just about one man's compassion. It's about how a little girl with a cardboard sign inspired a nation to look inward, to see its flaws, and to act." A call to action. As the day ended and the sun set over the memorial, Trump looked directly into the camera, broadcasting the event live. "Today, I'm asking every American to join this journey. Start small. Help someone in need, volunteer in your community, or simply spread the message of hope. Together, we can ensure that no one is forgotten and that every dream has the chance to take flight." The broadcast concluded with a call to action, urging viewers to share the story, support local initiatives, and believe in the power of collective action across the nation. People heeded the call, inspired by the simple yet profound idea that even the smallest actions could create a ripple of change. As the final moments of the event played out, the camera lingered on Lily and her mother, standing hand in hand with Trump against the backdrop of the memorial, a lasting symbol of hope, courage, and unity.